it's your girl Alicia, aka geekxxchic, and I'm back with another reaction to The Gifted. We are now on episode 11, which is called hoMe, not Where the Buffaloes Roam, or The Deer or the Antelopes Play. It's an old school song. Some of y'all might know it. The rest of you, you're too young. Leave my channel. Just kidding. So, last episode, we had some interesting developments go on, particularly with revelations when it came to some plot, some deeper plot threads that have been kind of going throughout the season. I think one of the biggest ones that we came across is the fact that Reeva is in fact working with Paul Ryan, who, as far as we know, is one of the biggest ralliers of anti-mutant anything that's out there. We know that he is one of the head people in the Purifiers, and of course he's got his television show where he spouts a lot of anti-mutant rants. And yeah, he's just, from what we thought, he wasn't at all involved with mutants, but we see that him and Reeva are working together, and hopefully we're going to figure out what that's all about. Now Marcos and Lorna know that this is the case, so what they're going to do with that information next is very key. We also saw that Lauren is becoming obsessed with the music box that belonged to her grandmother. There's something that was done to the music box that is supposedly supposed to feed into whatever future that the Von Struckers had planned before, you know, life and nature took over and then they died. But the biggest thing in it is that we have the hair of at least Andrea Von Strucker, potentially of Andreas as well. But the point is, at some point, maybe Lauren might figure out that she doesn't need Andy in order to summon Fenris. But as I said in the review for the last episode, if you didn't watch it, I basically said that, you know, if this information gets into Andy's hands, and worse, Reeva's hands, it can be quite dangerous for humankind in general. Let's be real. All of that to say, let's get into this episode. I'm excited to see where things are going. I really need this plot to move forward because we're getting very close to the end of the season, and I need to know where this is all going. You feel me? All right, let's get into this. Boop.
The network, so I feel like, you know, she's gonna have a pretty idea.
I just think that if...
That's right. Shut him up the way that I certainly would if I had the chance.
I feel like the glorious crusade of the X-Men can win.
Yes, that hair, girl. Yes. Do it for all of us.
It doesn't matter. We need anyone. And not just from the underground. You'll need to bring the Morlocks to this meeting.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Erg made it pretty clear that he's not gonna fight our war.
John's face. Why do you say his name like that?
His life.
Sorry, but this brother with the power of the clap.
Look who's here. Come down to watch.
You're not the only ones.
Oh my god, really? Okay, Caitlin does chin-ups now. Okay, she wields guns, she does chin-ups. Okay, let's just calm down, Sarah Connor.
I wasn't counting.
Wow.
All I can say is I hope Evangeline can...
Why does Reed look 85 years old with these glasses on? Put them on your face, sir.
Benedict Ryan is openly supporting the Purifiers now.
Benedict. I don't know if his first name was Paul. Whoops.
Your brother has a habit of looking out for number one.
True that.
I've had our issues,
But you know, that's kind of a family trait we're learning. Whatever they want, expense of everyone else. I was about to say last time, like, how did she read German all of a sudden?
You gonna try to stop me?
You wish.
I warn you, Lord.
No, I'm warning you.
That's right.
I'm stronger now.
So bring it on.
He's like, what's that? Ooh, closer. Come on, Lord, one more. School this boy. He needs a spanking since when? Yes. That's payback for the concussion, you jerk. Damn! Go, Warren!
We're here to take you there.
Then let's go.
Okay?
Look at us. Best friends.
Erg just needs to hug y'all in a bath, that's all. Is he gonna go to the music box? Yes! Yes! Get nosy! Get nosy, it's your daughter. Do it. Oh, wait. Do it. It's about time. I want to know why it's not affecting Reed. Or if it would if he stopped suppressing his powers. See if it affected him as a kid. It did. So it is powers related. Yo, oh my god, it triggers powers. That's awesome. Breathe, breathe, just breathe. Now, if you just accidentally had touched it with the bad hand, I wouldn't have been mad at it.
You must believe something we're
But
doing.
don't tell me what I believe. Make no mistake, Evangeline's invitation was a threat.
Threat. What did she threaten you with?
She could expose the underground.
Knows where all our tunnels are.
He's a bully and a coward. We have to stand up to him.
Emily, please.
Just get me inside.
She gonna die. This girl definitely gonna die.
We're already involved. Andy's one of the terrorists.
It's like, I never liked that boy. Never liked him. Not my nephew.
Well, what if I have to come to your rescue?
There'll be no need for that.
God, watching Lorna flirt like this is nauseating because you know she's sick to her stomach. Huh. Yeah, see, she dry heaved a little. I saw it.
We were meant to dominate, and so we shall. That will to power lives in us.
Oh,
If
it
you
incites
read this,
violence.
You know it in yourself.
Listen to this and don't touch anything valuable, Reed. Let go, let go, let go, let go. Like a junkie. This is so interesting. Does this only work on Von Struckers, I wonder? John, can't you tell? Like, you should be able to put your hand on the ground and find out.
Evangeline might still be dead. It's too late.
They're pulling bodies out of that building, John. Can you hear any of our people? Anything?
That's what I'm about to say. Use your powers, sir.
We're here fighting the real world.
The real world? You mean where we're
God,
feared
please
and
put
hated?
them away, boys.
Where Blink,
It's not
woman
the
you claim
time.
to love, has to hide who she is.
I mean, you kind of asked for it, John.
You son of a bitch. You want to lose your other eye?
Stop! Both of you.
Technically, John started it.
You've been given this power, and
Shut up, Kate.
it's up to you to decide what to do.
You have no idea what you're talking about, literally.
That's right. Let's go.
But for real, where does Lauren keep getting her nails did? They still be so fresh.
You know I can't do this.
What is it?
I knew it. I knew it. He was setting you up.
What is that?
Wire.
It's too late.
No, it's not.
Huh? Lauren is not about that life no more. Okay, ooh, look at that. She got the hat real low and that look. See? John, they're not John. This is what Marcos should have done with the purifiers. Really? Kate, get back in the car. Right now. Get back in the car.
He said he had his medicine.
When it runs out or stops working, Andy, we have access to the best doctors. He's had everything he needed here.
He would melt you to death before he'd let you treat him.
He joins us. I'm saying goodbye.
I mean, it's fair. Marcos is like, welcome to the single club. These hoes ain't loyal.
You wouldn't stop me. You did what you had to do. If you had
Oh my God. She's worse than the Frost sisters.
I wasn't myself anymore.
She's the lost Stepford Cuckoo.
Maybe we should just keep the whole
For your dad.
shootout with the cops thing between us, you know?
Yeah, let's keep secrets. Didn't we just say we're gonna stop doing this earlier in the season, Lauren? Okay. Oh, no. Sewage and sludge? No.
Are you sure you're feeling okay?
I'm fine. Why do you ask?
Because there's like 6 less vials.
The ceremony we left.
Oh, Johnny. Johnny, just you and the dog. Let's hope the dog don't leave you too. Turn you into a country music song.
Just relax and think of Lauren.
What was that? Creepy. Well, we'll see what happens. That's quite the little cliffy to end on, isn't it? Now, isn't it? Well, guys, that was episode 11, which was called Home, and very interesting indeed. Sorry, that was episode 12. I got that wrong. Like, that feels wrong in my head. Episode 12, which was called Home. Yeah, this was kind of an interesting episode in the sense of I really didn't expect them to wipe out the leaders of the underground. I mean, I knew the underground was being dismantled in some fashion, but I really didn't think it was going to become just a clean sweep of the underground. But the show's made it abundantly clear that we are not to believe that the underground will rise again. That era is over, and we know that 100% now, because basically now that these handful of leaders were wiped out in one fell swoop, although we didn't get confirmation that Evangeline was part of that, but I think we're just going to assume that for now. But either way, the idea is if the rest of the underground has heard that these leaders were taken out, of course they're not going to do anything to try to, you know, rally or do anything now. Like, Reeva made sure that there will be no resistance that she knows of anyways to her plans going forward, and she knew the underground was probably the biggest potential threat. But of course, thankfully, the moment she doesn't seem to know about Lorna, it seems very strange to me that she's not plugged into that, because Lorna's been very sloppy, in my opinion, with making phone calls right there in the compound. Like, yeah, it's true that maybe her room's kind of secluded, but she's got 3 telepaths in the house, you know, literally walking around at any given time. Like, so dangerous for her to be talking to and interacting with and thinking about the underground as much as she is. I mean, Esme might be able to run a bit of interference, but as we can see, I don't know, Esme is clearly not, as we know from previous episodes, Esme is not 100% on board with everything that the Inner Circle is doing, but she is far too scared for her life and that of her sisters to, I think at this point, do anything to go against them. She would need some guarantees that she could get out, but more importantly, Esme seems to be the only cuckoo who isn't fully on board with Reeva's plan. But again, we don't see enough of the other 2 to know if they do have doubts, or if maybe they're just pretending to be into it for the sake of not getting on Reeva's bad side. But it's just a messy situation, and I just think it's interesting that, you know, I know it's for the sake of plot, but, you know, really that Reeva's got no idea that, you know, no idea at all that Lorna's not quite on board, or that she's been acting differently, because I feel like Lorna's definitely had a change in temperament since she's started to disagree with Reeva. But again, Reeva's got a lot on her plate. We don't know all the things that are going on, and once again, she was absent from this episode, so it's possible that she just hasn't had enough time to focus on Lorna. And because Lorna's not being overly combative or, you know, loud about her objections, maybe she just assumes that everything's hunky-dory. But all that aside, let's jump into some of the bigger parts of the episode here that I think were pretty massive. Let's talk about this music box once again. We saw that the second that music box played way back when, before the season break, or the mid-season break, that Lauren instantly got entranced by the music box the second that she heard the music. And, you know, as Reed said, she was obsessed with it, had it going. Basically, the only time she turned that thing off or wouldn't listen to it was when she wasn't in its presence. But I remember I asked, I think last episode of the episode before, I'm like, how is Reed not affected? He's a Von Strucker. The bloodline in him is even thicker than it is with the kids. So how is he not affected by this music box as well? Like, he should be the one acting like Kate, who's all like, no, leave the music box, it's fine. It has directly to do with his powers. Whatever he's taking is inhibiting whatever the call to the powers is. So it looks like whatever modifications that Andreas had done to the music box is only for Von Struckers. Because I first thought maybe it's all mutants, but I think it's only the Von Struckers. And the letter, from what I recall of it, he talked about how, you know, our family line will rise again, we're superior. And I remember I talked about that last review, I think, about how he has, you know, the Von Struckers, this is one of the reasons that the X-Men were against them, is because they believed they were better than other mutants and better than humans. So clearly Andreas had some ideas about how he thinks their family should go forward. And if he thinks, you know, as we learned since last season, the Von Strucker line, their mutation is just a little bit, it's on some next level stuff. It's different. And so again, we know that Andreas and Andrea kept it in the family, Game of Thrones style, and something tells me that that's probably what they were trying to push for the further generations, to keep their family line strong, aka keep this crazy X gene in the family and make more of them. And so I think that if we continue, because we didn't get to see the rest of the letter that Reed translated, but my guess is that it's probably like more of this propaganda that they're trying to push of, let's keep, you know, the Von Strucker line pure, and again, this idea that they're better. But I think what's really interesting is that whatever this music box does, not only does it seem to rile up the powers, because we saw with Reed, despite the fact that he's on the inhibitor, it still brought his powers out. It was literally like you saw like he was starting to be entranced by it, and he was starting to fight it, and then he kind of got entranced again, and then he had to keep taking more of the serum in order to try to fight it. So, and then the flashback I thought was so interesting was seeing Reed as a teenager, probably around Andy and Lauren's age. We saw that as a teenager, Reed came across the music box, was immediately entranced by it, but the violent behavior ensued as soon as he started listening to the melody. And he didn't even get the letter, you feel me? He didn't even get that far. Just hearing that music, we saw that it incited him to being very violent and belligerent and edgy. So I'm just curious as to why that would be the trigger they'd want. Like, I understand the wanting to bring forth the powers, but why would they want a modification that would basically make them like Hulk ragey the entire time? That's what I'm kind of wondering. I think Reed clearly had blocked that memory out about the music box until that time, but I'm thinking the combination of him, I'm wondering now, because you know last season's the last time we really talked about Reed and the trajectory of his powers, but I'm starting to think that maybe Reed didn't have any abilities. Then he got in contact with the music box. That's probably what triggered or activated his X gene the first time. His dad took the music box away, put it someplace, and then when he saw that not only was Reed manifesting powers, but that Reed was getting so violent, that's when he was probably like, okay, this is why I've got to cut this. I gotta figure out a way to cure this, stop it. Between the power and this aggressive behavior, I completely see now where Grandpappy Von Strucker was like, we can't have this. We gotta stop this somehow, because this is not a good combination. So very interesting that we saw that correlation, and I'm so glad that they showed that Reed was affected, because I just thought it was really weird. I'm like, how could I be skipping a generation like this? Reed is a mutant. Even though his powers are suppressed at the moment, he is a mutant fully. So he should be affected by this music box, like I said, even more so than Andy and Lauren. So anyway, back to Lauren's behavior. I'm glad to see that we finally got that confirmation with the Fenris thing. We might just roll into the whole Fenris thing. The light and the dark, a lot of you in the comments have been saying that you think it's a matter of a balance of energies. You were absolutely right. I agreed with you. And as we saw, Andy is the dark energy while Lauren is the light energy. I wouldn't even be surprised if that's the reason why why Caitlyn had such a rough pregnancy with Andy. He was probably already draining like energy from like a dark source from the second he was conceived. We see that Lauren walking into the training room, she's all in white, Andy all in black. And considering the fact that like Andy didn't know she was coming, it's interesting that he automatically chose black and she chose white. So again, showing that yin and yang, and that in order for Fenris to be most powerful, the balance is necessary. However, the issue is with whatever is in that music box seems to be tainting the energy. It seems to be, like I said, pushing the aggressive side of that energy, which is definitely more towards the dark side of it. So anyway, I love the face-off between Andy and Lauren. We can just roll right into that. Like, OMG, that was so... Look, I'm not about Lauren being dark, you know that, but I really liked her standing up to Andy in this moment, because Andy has been very pushy about everything that he's been doing lately, and also like the last time he was with her, you know, he hurt her without any kind of remorse, really. I mean, yeah, he felt a little bad, but you get me. Like, he was just kind of like, oh, well, deal with it. You got in my way. I was so glad to see Lauren kind of push back and be like, I'm not the pushover in this relationship. Just so you know, I came first. I'm the older sister, and my powers are pretty badass as well. And yeah, I mean, obviously Andy did not think, you know, he underestimated her clearly, and that is always the best weapon in a woman's arsenal, FYI, to be underestimated. She schooled that kid like... Like I said, I don't feel bad about it at all. I cheered her on because he deserved it. He concussed her. The least she can do is give him a bloody lip. You know what I'm saying? He deserved that. He needed a little wake-up call to recognize that he can't just be treating Lauren any kind of way. Okay? Let's just remember the rank of the priority, the birth order. Please and thank you. I actually really like that, but I also just like the fact that Lauren was very grounded in herself with that confrontation, and the fact that she said... She wasn't like trying to bully him. She wasn't trying to be all like, you know, she just simply said, you're on a really dark path. It's not the right path. And I'm telling you right now that you need, like, this is where you need to draw the line. If there's ever going to be a line to draw, it's now. He hasn't quite gone all the way to doing something that was irrevocably evil. And she's trying to tell him, like, this is the time to turn this ship around, this wrong course over the waterfall that you're about to head down. I'm telling you, make the U-turn now. And she let him know, listen, if you don't, just so you know, we fighting. You know, she let him know, we fighting. I'm not joining you. If you're not coming back to this side, or at least to a place that's not the inner circle, we're done. And I think it's important, like, they didn't go in depth, of course, about it in that dream sequence, but I think it's important. And I mean, these are teenagers, so I don't expect them to have this depth of conversation, but I think it's important that it be known that I'm not saying that Lauren should force her way of thinking, her ideologies on Andy, because Andy's his own, despite the fact that he never makes a decision for himself, he is his own person, and he should have his own thoughts and feelings and belief systems, and he doesn't have to believe that humans and mutants have to live together happily. He doesn't have to. However, if you're going to believe that there has to be a separation, you're better off doing it the way the Morlocks are doing it, where they just go somewhere and leave everybody alone. This proactively hurting people thing, this idea that you can hurt people because you can thing, that isn't right. And I agree with Lauren being like, this is what the inner circle is all about. Like, our way at all expenses, at all cost. Anyway, that's the kind of conversation I wish that they could have. It's kind of like, look, Andy, like, you don't have to believe what we believe per se in the sense of how this should all go down, but you do have to at least be on the side of, like, if you're going to try to hurt a bunch of innocent people for your cause, know that I'm going to oppose that because I think that's wrong. And I love that Lauren just put that line in the sand. It was like, deuces. Fat lip. We see that obviously the effects of this music box are still in her. We saw that with how she dealt with the cops. But again, I guess the difference is, and I guess this is the light side of her being on the light side of Fenris. Even in that confrontation, Lauren did not directly hurt a person. She messed up their vehicles. She definitely did things to kind of, you know, jack them up. She was getting riled up. Like we saw her mom say, whoa, like, let's go. And the point is, once again, Lauren listened and did that. Her mom was like, okay, enough. Let's go. Lauren put up the shield and she left. She was tempted to go further, but she reined herself in. This is the difference between her and Andy. This is the difference between where your moral compass is and where, you know, your belief and thinking are. Is that even though there was a temptation to do something wrong, which we all have, the difference between what makes quote unquote good or bad people is whether or not you act on every negative impulse that you have. And in that particular situation, Lauren resisted. Again, if she continues to be exposed to the music box, this may change. But as it stands, at least she's even recognizing, like she said it to her mom, like, I don't know how I feel about my confrontation with Andy. I don't know how I feel about how I acted with those men. Like, she knows it's out of character for herself to have been so aggressive. And I don't know if she's going to figure out for herself that the music box is having this negative effect on her belief system. I'm hoping that she does and says something to Reed, not her mother, who's just the worst power pimp, power pusher right now. I'll get to Kate in a minute because I thought I had finished ranting about her last episode, but she needs someone who's going to look at this from a mutant's point of view, someone who actually understands the effects of the music box, which is now Reed, who can sit her down and be like, no, baby girl, there's something going on here and it ain't healthy. And we need to protect ourselves. We need to be careful. So this whole thing with Lauren, I really do hope that she does see how backward it is now that she is in the position that she was yelling at both her parents for being in at the beginning of the season, of lying and keeping things from each other. It doesn't work. We saw that it wasn't working in the beginning of the season. It's not going to work now. And so I'm hoping that she sees past her mom's insane rantings at the moment and actually is like, no, I need to talk to my dad about this because he should understand. And he is part of this in a way that Caitlin just isn't. That kind of just leads right into the whole thing with Lauren and Andy and this whole thing about them trying to bring Lauren in. I understand why Andy had to give up the information about the dreams at this point. I mean, I had a feeling it was going to come up eventually anyways. The more and more he falls into this inner circle and believing everything that they're doling out and Reeva pushing him to trust her, eventually he was going to give up that info. That situation with the triplets just bursting into his room, like, are they right next door? Like, what? How did would they even know? Because he didn't scream, he just sat up. But anyway, yeah, with them bursting in and him being covered in blood, there was no way he could talk his way out of that, right? No one just has an accidental dream of coughing up blood. I think also he's scared of Lauren. We saw his face when Lauren stood up to him in that dream. He's never seen her like this. I think he's a little worried about her as well, because he knows what Lauren's like. He knows what her moral stance is, and to see her kind of be a little ruthless, I think also might be bothering him. It would really make me happy if it bothered him. It would really make me happy if Andy was actually bothered by the fact that his sister's actual self was changing. Because even if he wants her to believe in his screwed up cause, you still want your family member to be to be them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want them to be there at the expense of not being themselves. And we kind of saw that, like when he said to the triplets, like, oh, I don't want her to be here under manipulation, I want her to be here because she wants to be. And they're lying. I'm like, oh, we wouldn't do that, and he would never manipulate your sister. Okay, I'm wondering if Reeva's gonna find out. My question is Reeva gonna find out? We know that now Marcos is aware of the fact that they're gonna be actively reaching out. We know as this episode ended that they're about to do it. What I'm wondering though is, like, we know that conviction-wise, Lauren is not about the inner circle in any way, shape, or form. The only things I can see the triplets trying is that they're gonna either threaten their family and say, listen, we can find your family tomorrow if we want to and kill them all if you don't join us, or we could kill more of the underground until you do join us. Like, I know it's gonna come down to threats. I know this. There's no way it's not gonna come down to them threatening Lauren. But also, it's not completely untrue that if Reeva finds out, Reeva is gonna go after her family. That is a true statement. I really hope that Lauren is strong enough to not succumb to any manipulation that the girls put out there. I don't think she will be though, because Lauren's always been very level-headed and very good about making her own choices and decisions. We've seen that since season 1, so I hope that doesn't change in this particular case. But it'll be interesting to see that interaction, and I'm wondering how much she's going to share, because the thing that is frustrating me so much about the inner circle right now is the lack of communication across so many of the groups, and everyone's still factioned off in their own little drama and not talking to each other. So I really hope that if Marcos comes to Lauren and it's like, hey, they're going to come for you, that she'll in turn be like, yeah, they already did. Now what are you gonna do? Because they're gonna come for me, and then they can figure something out. So I guess the last thing to really talk about otherwise, which is kind of the saddest moment of this episode for me, was, you know, the John and Blank Clarice stuff. I mean, we saw it kind of coming. The fact that they keep bringing Erg up and his whole, oh, come live in the sewer with me nonsense in the previews. I don't think this is permanent. I think the fact that they went through the trouble of having John and Clarice tell each other that they loved each other, and that they, you know, they both fight these relationships because they're both scared of losing each other, and they clearly have this really good connection. I don't think it's gonna be broken simply because of this situation. But this was one of those things where I couldn't fault Clarice. Like, I love John and Clarice together, but I can't fault her for not wanting to watch John continue to go head first into these dangerous situations when it's literally killing him. Like, that's a lot to ask of anyone, and she doesn't want to support it. I don't blame her, and that's what you do in a relationship. It's like, she's like, I'm not going to stop you, because I can't really, but I'm not going to stand by you either, because I don't think it's the right way to go. Now, does that mean she should give up completely on the whole situation? I think that's a bit much, but I think it was a knee-jerk reaction, and again, it's just for the drama of having her go with the Morlocks. But my guess, though, is that it's placement, having her down with the Morlocks. This gives her time to maybe talk to other Morlocks and maybe convince them to convince Erg that they can't just stay in the sewers forever, and that the fight will eventually come to them in some way, shape, or form. All it takes is for one purifier to figure out what's going on down there, and it's all gonna go to hell in a handbasket. Anyway, it was kind of sad to see them break up, but as I say, and I would say, I'm not even gonna call it a breakup. I'm gonna just call it a break at this point, because they're both clearly still in love with each other. It wasn't because they don't want to be together, but I understand Clarice just being like, I can't keep literally patching you back together. It's too much for me. But conversely, I understand John not wanting to give up on the cause. He really doesn't know what else to do, but again, this is just kind of poor writing for John and his character this season. They really don't seem to know how to put him on a track and have him stay on it, and they just kind of have him yo-yoing back and forth from one bad decision to the next. So he does need to get his act together, in fairness, and I don't blame Clarice for wanting to peace out while that's happening. It's kind of sad. It's like it's just a big old singles club going on. Like all the couples in the underground are breaking up or having issues. I mean, you know, Reed and Caitlin aren't broken up, but for all intents and purposes, they're on two different sides of a fence right now, and that fence is getting higher with every day that they continue to keep things from each other. So I don't know, guys. I don't know how this season's gonna end. I don't know what state everything's gonna be in. The underground we know is gone now, but does that mean something new is gonna rise in its place that's even bigger and better? How far is this gonna go? Is Reeva's plan, is the Inner Circle's plan actually gonna happen? And what is the plan? Like, I feel like we've had so much buildup, and I'm wondering what's going to happen because we don't have that many episodes left. How are they possibly going to wrap this up in a way that's going to justify all of this buildup? It can't be something as anticlimactic as Reeva getting taken out at the last minute. Overall, as I said, it was a good episode. We definitely had a lot of interesting emotional stuff that went on here, and we got a lot of things answered about Fenris, which I think I've been wondering about since season 1, so that was great. And I did like seeing the glow up with Lauren. Oh, and I did say I was going to come back to the whole Kate thing. Listen, all I have to say about this is I'm so over the writers trying to turn this chick into Sarah Connor. Can we just stop, okay? Caitlin last season was a nurse, a really good nurse with a big heart who was trying to help the underground because they needed medical attention. Now suddenly she wields guns, she does chin-ups, she's punching people, she's getting shot. Like, it's just too much, okay? Like, I get it. The writers did not want Caitlin to seem like she was useless, but this is getting to be a really big pill to swallow in believability, so I just need the writers to tone it down a little bit. Overall, they need to tone her down. They need to tone her down with this pushing of Lauren and her powers because she doesn't understand what she's playing with here, and her blind mindset to get Andy back from somewhere he doesn't even want to leave. I'm just over it. I need it to end, and that's all I'm gonna say because I did rant way too long about Caitlin the last episode. So what did you guys think of this episode? How are you feeling about the underground completely disintegrating? How do you feel about the breakup of John and Clarice? And where do you think this whole thing with the triplets and Lauren is gonna go? Please leave your comments below. You know, I love reading it and getting involved in that conversation with you. And if you like this video, guys, please click like. And if you want to see more from this geeky face, please click subscribe. Until next time, see ya.